the nervous system. I'll be taking 3 or 4 classes. It will be a repetition on coming Thursday, brain, Friday, brain. So today, window to the nervous system. Tell me, where is fancy bread, in the heart or in the head? Shakespeare. Tell me, where is fancy bread, in the heart or in the head? তোমার কোনো কিছু ভালো লাগছে, anything you liking, you are expressing, oh beautiful, it comes from your head or the heart. It's a riddle. Now, although Shakespeare asked this question near the end of the 20th century, the answer had been known at least to some for more than 2 millennia. Many ancient Greek scholars, Hippocrates and Plato among them, appreciated that there is something special about the brain and argued that the brain is responsible for behavior in humans and other animals. We now take it for granted that brain is the organ that obtains information about the environment, processes and stores this information and generates behavior. In addition, it is the brain that is responsible for such vaguely defined aspects of behavior as feeling, aspiration, abstract thoughts, those qualities we consider with more than a touch of hubris quite essentially human. This expression and your behavior is only pertaining to humans. Now, diseases of the brain, which often associated with aging and hence are on the increase as the human lifespan lengthens, causes untold suffering for individual families and society as a whole. Now, the aging brain is the greatest challenge. It is the greatest challenge. Now, in essence, then it is the brain that makes up what we are, and indeed it can be argued that all other organs are there simply to support the brain. For this reason, understanding the biological of brain function is a major goal of modern science. Now, the brain is one of the last great frontiers in biological science, and the unrevealing of its mysteries is comparable in complexity and intellectual challenge to the search for the elementary particles of matter or the effort to explore space. Now, this is different size of embryos of different CR length, crown rump length up to the coccyx. That is the measurement. Now you can see this size, then this. Again, this is the sizes of the brain, fetuses, human fetuses, embryos, and see the skull bones has been opened. This is for my own collection. How did I collect? The question is there. Practicing gynecology and obstetrics, the small size, one day what happened, I was doing an MTP. That time there is no ultrasound. And I slowly was using the curate. Suddenly the yolk sac, so I put my hand and got that embryo. Like this, the small ones I had collected, preserved it, and then photographed it. And one paper I presented, I'll just tell you. Now see, the skull is removed, the developing brain. Here the ventricles, the inner side, the part of the brain is dissected out. Actually, this should have been done in a microscope, a very good microscope. But I didn't have that. But I have been collecting these things and photographing these things. So today I am one of the happiest persons that I can show and share with you. That embryo এই সাইজের হতে পারে। এখন তো AI generated, everything, you can bring anything you want to. But you have to have a concept. You have to have a concept of what you are going to generate. Now you see, this is the two cerebrum and early sulci and gyri. This is the fourth ventricle. This is the two cerebrum. This is the ventricle. Now, here, this is the specimen, and this, see the brain and spinal cord. You can see it in Gray's Anatomy. Beautiful picture, but it's an adult brain and the spinal cord. Actually, I use your nail clippers. You can buy a pedicure set and you get a nail clipper. But in 1985, 86, 88, 86 to 88, 89, I had bought this nail clipper in Delhi, but these fetuses were dissected in my lab at Shaitia Nursing Home. I presented this paper in a national conference and also in the 50 year of Anatomical Society, I had exhibited my work, the photographs of different. Now, areas of the brain, prefrontal cortex, Broca's area here, left cerebral hemisphere, left middle cerebral artery, left middle cerebral artery here. This is the motor cortex in green, premotor cortex, Broca's area, primary somatic sensory cortex, parietal lobe, gustatory area, Wernicke's area, primary visual cortex, this is primary visual cortex, and optic radiation. The primary auditory area here, the brain stem, the left middle cerebral artery, this is the cerebellum. Now the other the slides which I showed you previously, that won't be in your exam. the developmental biology or developmental neurobiology, that won't be in the exam. But to show you, I had the platform and chance, I shared with you. Now, major external parts of the human brain, underside view: frontal lobe, olfactory lobe, temporal lobe, pons, cerebellum. Cranial nerves shown in blue, these are the cranial nerves. You will see this specimen in the lab. Lab means your dissection hall, and you see the orientation of the nerves shown in blue, the cranial nerves. Now the parts of the brain is, you have studied human skull. So temporal bone, temporal area, frontal bone, frontal area, and your pons medulla in the base of the skull. Now your cerebellum, it consists of cerebral cortex, deep cerebellar nuclei, white medulla between. Cerebellum is uninterrupted across the midline. The cortex thrown into neurons, transverse folds called folia, separated by fissures. White matter of the medulla resembles branching tree arbor vitae. Yeah. See the branching here. And the leaf-like with the midbrain, with the medulla. You practice drawing and location of cerebellum within the posterior fossa. Straddles the brainstem and forms the roof of the fourth ventricle. Tentorium cerebelli dura mater separate the cerebellum from the occipital lobes of the cerebrum. Yeah. The sagittal section. Now, you see the ventricles. You can see the pituitary gland here. This is the medulla oblongata, the cerebellum. This is the palate. This is the tongue. Now, this is the location. Now you can see the sinuses. A pair of cerebellar hemispheres united by the Vermis, worm-shaped. Yeah. This is the worm-shaped. This is the parts of the cerebellum, cerebellar hemispheres. This Vermis. Parts of the lobes. Each cerebellar hemisphere has the following features. It has two surfaces. superior surface, inferior surface. It has two borders, anterior border, posterior border. It has two notches, anterior cerebellar notch and posterior cerebellar notch. See, this is the ala, this is lingula, this is the pyramid, uvula, tonsils, flocculus, nodule, inferior semilunar lobule, biventral lobule, pyramid, tuber, folium, culmen, central lobule, lingula. Parts of the vermis. The vermis cerebelli is divided into two parts, superior vermis and inferior vermis. Now see, the primary fissure, anterior lobe, this is the middle lobe, and this is the posterior lobe, this part. This is the horizontal fissure, the posterolateral fissure, this is the posterolateral fissure. This is the primary fissure, the anterior lobe, this portion. Again the middle lobe, this is the posterior lobe. Posterolateral fissure, horizontal fissure. Parts of the vermis, lingula, ala, central lobule, culmen, folium, declive, tuber, pyramid, uvula, tonsils and nodule, flocculus, biventral lobule, lunar lobule, inferior semilunar lobule, semilunar lobule. Superior vermis arranged anterior to posterior lingula, central lobule, culmen, declive, folium. Parts of the vermis, inferior vermis arranged posterior to anterior, tuber, pyramid, uvula, nodule, dorsal lobes. Multiple nomenclature have been used to describe the various lobules. Larson in 1952 used Roman numericals 1 to 10, anterior to posterior. The anterior lobe. See, this is lingula, it's 1, 2 and 3, central lobe, culmen 4 and 5, and simplex, declive 6, folium, tuber, pyramid 8, 9 is uvula and 10 is vestibule. And you have flocculus. Now we see the color. Archy cerebellum, this pink, and flocculus. Paleo cerebellum, neo cerebellum. That can be a short note. Now, the connections, efferent connections, superior cerebellar peduncle, cerebellothalamic fibers from 3 deep nuclei, cerebellofibers from nucleus interproteus, and dentate nucleus. Ascending portion, afferent connections, middle cerebellar peduncle, pentocerebellar fibers, corticocerebellar fibers, reticulocerebellar fibers, superior cerebral peduncle, cerebellar peduncle, anterior spinocerebellar tract, cerebellar fibers, raphe cerebellar fibers, cerebellar fibers, hypothalamo-cerebellar fibers. Now, you have to know these connections and also draw a picture. It can be a short note, and also in physiology you might be having. Now, classification by phylogenetic and ontogenetic development, archicerebellum, periocerebellum, neocerebellum. Classification by afferent connections. Cerebellum is the vestibular nuclei to the cerebellum. Spinocerebellum, pontine nucleus, pontocerebellum. Classification by efferent connection. Classification by efferent connection. Vermis, paravermal region, cerebellar hemispheres. Deep cerebellar nuclei. These are subcortical collection of grey matter arranged lateral to medial are dentate, emboliform and globose interposed between. Fastigial. Yeah. See, with the medulla oblongata. This is cerebellum. Here is a section, the cerebellar peduncles here, and you can see the nucleus here. The emboliform nucleus is here, the globose here, and fastigial here. This is the location of the nuclei. Cerebellar peduncle, superior brachium, conjunctivium, midbrain, superior brachium, conjunctivum, midbrain, output to midbrain and thalamus, mostly thalamus. Middle brachium, pontis, pons, and input from pons. The superior brachium, middle brachium, now the pons, input from pons. Inferior restiform body, medulla, input and output. See the pineal body here. The thalamus, the diencephalon. This is the diencephalon. Now superior colliculus, inferior colliculus, midbrain. Now superior cerebral peduncle, middle cerebellar peduncle, inferior cerebral peduncle. Median sulcus, nucleus cuneatus, nucleus gracilis, olive, medulla oblongata. This is the portion of the medulla oblongata. This is the pons. Now, this is important. It can be a question. Okay. You draw a sketch today of this blood supply, arterial supply, superior cerebellar artery, anterior inferior cerebellar artery, posterior inferior cerebellar artery. Venous drainage, superior cerebellar veins drained into the straight sinus and great cerebellar vein transverse and superior petrosal sinus. Inferior cerebellar veins drain into sigmoid sinus, inferior petrosal, occipital sinus. Functions of cerebellum, the proprioceptive sensation. The cerebellum is the head ganglion of the proprioceptive system. Since it receives impulses from muscles of the limbs, trunks and face, etc. Proprioceptive system. It is the cerebellum is the head ganglion of the proprioceptive system. Since it receives impulses from the muscles of the limbs, trunk and face, it receives the sensation. And yeah, if there is any cerebellar disorder, then the person walks like this. It controls tone, posture and equilibrium. It is concerned with unconscious impulses, especially kinesthetics and vestibular, which controls tone, posture and equilibrium. Functions of cerebellum: balance, rope walk in circus, skating. If you have any cerebellar disorder, you cannot perform this. Now you can see it guides the motor cortex and controls all voluntary movements so that there may be accurate in time, force, duration and extent. It exercises all kinds of final editorial supervision over the motor impulses emerging from the cerebral cortex. This is important. It once again I am repeating, it guides the motor cortex and controls all voluntary movements so that there may be accurate in time, force and duration and extent. It exercises all kinds of final editorial supervision over the motor impulses emerging from the cerebral cortex. Now, I will give you an example. Nowadays, marriage ceremonies, photographers, like 4 cameras, 3 still cameras, and they click 1,000 frames. Then they send the pen drive to you. You and your wife have to mark, that means you are editing the frames which is your liking. So it is like that. The cerebellum acts as a editor. Now, this is the motor skill. Functions of cerebellum: it exerts synergic control. The control of the cerebellum is ipsilateral. The flocculonodular lobe is concerned with the control of equilibrium. The anterior lobe is concerned with the lower limb. The central lobule is concerned with the face. Cerebellar ataxia. Yeah. My cerebellum is acting properly. The day before I showed you something, I tried to copy this, but it won't reflect. But a person having your cerebellar lesion, then this type of gait, ataxic gait, and position left cerebellar tumor, sways to the right in standing position, steady on the right leg, unsteady on the left leg, and unsteady on the left leg, ataxic gait. This, you have a patient in your clinic or outdoor, not emergency, then you ask him to walk, and if you, at least from your clinical knowledge, you have to deduct that is it a cerebellar lesion or not. And cerebellar lesion, ataxia, hydrocephalus, hypotonia, pendular knee jerk and asthenia, and asynergia, loss of muscular coordination, defective synergy between agonistic and antagonistic muscles, dysmetria, past pointing, decomposition of the movement finger, nose test. Like you can do a simple test like this. Close the eyes. But if he has a cerebellar lesion, then he will hit anyway. But you just, this you have to do it in your ward, in your clinics. And then you write a note in your patient sheet, and accordingly you diagnose. Now, decomposition of movement finger nose test, dysdocokinesis, rebound phenomena, slap on face, dysarthria, nystagmus, intention tremor. Now, sometimes the person just goes on like this. Okay. Now, if he's having that tremor and nystagmus, eye movement, nystagmus, the eye movement, it will oscillate. Yeah. The eyes display oscillatory movements when they are fixed to an object. You tell, I'm looking into this microphone, I will look. But if a patient is having a lesion, cerebellar lesion, then the eyeball will be not fixed, it will move. You just tell him to fix your head, chin, and then you look into one point, see this microphone. Then suddenly there is nystagmus. The eyes tend to deviate from the control position 10 to 30 degrees to the opposite side. Now, cerebellar medulloblastoma, cerebellar tumors on vermis, truncal ataxia, frequent falling. The child in this picture would not try to stand unsupported, would not let go the bed rail if she stood on the floor. See, if a child comes, the mother comes with her child, then she might be complaining that she is suddenly falling, and without holding something, he won't move. So, this is cerebellar medulloblastoma. The picture of the child is vermis, truncal ataxia, frequent falling. The child in this picture would not try to stand unsupported. He wants some support. And then stand. And your would not let go the bed rail. কিছুতেই তোমার bed rail টা ছাড়বে না। করে থাকবে। You try to hold her and tell, I. Just she will be holding tight. Okay, just I'll go through again, I'll repeat next day. Cranial nerves पढ़ना है, cranial nerves पढ़ना है, सब कुछ पढ़ना है, cranial nerves पढ़ना है, इसलिए your all these nerves supplying the tongue, ear, parotid and all this. So, cranial nerves, 1 olfactory, 2 optic, 3 oculomotor, 4th trochlear, 5th trigeminal, 6th abducens, 7th facial, 8th vestibulocochlear. This is the name, vestibule, cochlear. I mean cochlear apparatus in the ear. Glossopharyngeal, the tongue and the pharynx, and vagus, facial, vestibulocochlear, glossopharyngeal, vagus, accessory nerve, hypoglossal. Now, cranial nerves, sensory nerves, 1, 2, 8, motor nerves, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 9th, 12th, mixed nerves, 5th, 7th, 9th, 10th, 11th. You have to know this. Which is sensory, which is motor, which is mixed nerve. Can be a short question of 10 marks. Now, cranial nerve nuclei, optic nerve, this is the olfactory nerve, this is the oculomotor nerve, and this is the ophthalmic nerve, maxillary nerve, mandibular nerve, trigeminal nerve, the vestibulocochlear nerve, the accessory nerve. Now, vagus nerve here, hypoglossal nerve here, glossopharyngeal nerve here, facial nerve here, abducens nerve here, trochlear nerve here, optic nerve here, optic chiasma. মাথা ঘুরে যাচ্ছে। Okay. Again, this is this thing. See the pictures where they are supplying the organs, the face, the tongue, the cochlear apparatus here, 8th nerve. This is the 9th nerve, this is 10th nerve, and this is the 11th nerve, 12th nerve. The olfactory nerve again, I will take it on next Thursday and Friday. I will complete the brain because the hajam kora one day 125 slides is tough. So I have this thing because I have classes on these 3 days, brain, and so I will explain further. By this time, these 2 days, the next class, you please revise the content which has been taught to you. Thank you.